Okay, so I'm going to talk to you guys today about wildlife rehabbing, obviously the raccoon edition. There's obviously different kinds of rehabbing, but over this summer I got the chance to experience the raccoon over at Animalia Inc. in Thorntown. So if you guys want to check that out after class, that would be great. But so I'm sure you guys are aware, or that something like this has surfaced as you scroll through your social media on a daily basis, of people that are always trying to own a wildlife animal as a pet. And I always tell people that it's a big no-no, because not only is it illegal, but it's also very hard to take care of them, because each animal requires a certain type of daily routine basis kind of thing. So, you know, grooming, feeding, handling, all sorts of things. So that's why I always tell people, don't do it unless you are a licensed person that can rehab them. Because if not, the Department of Natural Resources, also known as DNR, will come and find you, and they will confiscate the animal from you. And that is never fun. So just don't do it, please. It's a lot of hassle, and it just doesn't work out in the end. But what people also don't understand is when they encounter an animal out in the wild, especially when it's injured, they're like, what do we do? They try to fix them up, they try to heal them back to health, and like I said, every animal is different, so each animal requires something different, and like I said, medication, food, grooming, things just like your regular house cat or dog. Or, just in general, trapping too. They'll find a raccoon up in their attic, in their basement, around their property, because, if you leave your trash cans open, they will find the scraps in the trash can. So trapping is another big problem, because what they don't realize is that most of the time they're females, female mothers. They're looking for a great place to find a nest, a place so that they can raise their babies. And so they'll trap the mother, either give them to DNR, or they'll take them and drop them off somewhere else, and then they end up finding babies, and then bam, you got yourself a little situation, and what do? So that's why I always tell people to call the DNR, or if you know a licensed wildlife rehabber, take them to them, because they know exactly what they need to do. Because they do have the knowledge, they do have the experience, they've taken exams to, certify themselves, and they have the proper facility and care and medication and things like that would need to take care of babies that you would find. So what does a rehabber typically do? This differs between facilities, but on a daily basis, when you have babies, for instance, as you can see here, it is important that you not only feed them, but you're keeping track of their weight. And normally that's done in grams, because you have to formulate their bottle feedings by 5 to 7% of their body weight. So if the baby's a little bit tinier, like if you would say a runt, then you would base that off of 5%. And if the baby is, kind of growing at a faster rate, then you would do it by 7%. It kind of varies when you do that. So at the beginning of life for them, you have to feed them quite often. It starts out about 6 times a day, and that's a lot. But, that's what they require, because they are hungry, they are growing, they are experiencing, life itself as we would. And then also you have to do the bathroom business. Just like you would do with kittens and dogs, like when they were born, you have to stimulate them to pee and to defecate as well. So here's a picture kind of indicating like what they normally do. We never use Q-tips, we just use rags, and just kind of sit there and play with them. I know that sounds really, really bizarre, but that's what you have to do. And they do urinate a lot. I mean, your hand would get soaked by the time you were done, stimulating that. So, and then the same thing with the fecal, you have to do that, because you are putting in a lot of milk and you are trying to expel that as well. The other thing that we normally do after they kind of grow up is diet formulations, and then just like regular feedings where you would put the food out for them. I kind of feel like I was a chef at sometimes, because I was in the kitchen and I was like chopping away at fruits and veggies and meats and things like that as they got older. So you kind of feel like you're their own personal chef and things like that. And then of course comes the unfun part, which is the cleaning of the enclosures, because as you are pretending to be a chef and feeding them all these delicious foods, comes the very smelly, like just pungent poop that they produce in their cage. And so normally you just have to scoop that up, you throw it in the trash, you scrub down with a a 1 to 10 bleach solution to water. So it'll be one part, thank you, of bleach to 10 to water. Just because you don't want to harm the animal, obviously, and poison them, but you also want to make sure that you are having proper sanitation in their enclosure as well. And then the other thing that we do throughout them rehabbing is we give them medical attention. So at the beginning, you know, we will give them Pedialyte if we notice that they aren't defecating the way they're supposed to. If they got like hardened poop, then that's, you know, we use the Pedialyte to soften it up and hydrate them. And then we give them like a dosage of just like a standard vaccination of like rabies or something like that. If not, you know, I'll explain that later when we do it for releasing them. Some health implications that we experience are diarrhea, ear infection, or eye infections, fleas, ticks, and worms. And that's just normal because they are out there in the wild and, you know, they are subject or prone to things like that. So what we normally do is we would give them dewormer, we would give them a parvo vaccination, rabies, distemper, things like that, just so in case you did encounter one and you got scratched or bit or something like that, you would be a little protected and less likely to get some sort of infectious disease and have to go to the hospital and get an arm amputated or something. So, and what we do also is that, like, we try to, at the end of releasing, we try to have minimal human contact, because the more human contact that you have with these guys, obviously the more they're going to want to hang around you, the more they're going to want to, you know, be a part of, like, the human aspects, like, on the day-to-day basis. So we want them to go out there, we want them to be out in the forest and the trees and do whatever they do for foraging and things like that. So like I said, minimal human contact is best / interaction. It's kind of hard when they're crawling all over your back in the enclosure with their poopy hands and you're just like, I can't do this today, kind of a thing. But and then when it comes to releasing, we normally release about 16 to 20 weeks of age, just because we have given them time to adapt to foraging, learning how to poop and pee on their own, and just getting their ground in general if they were born out in the wild. Obviously, it's a little different scenario because, you know, they were with us in the facility learning how to adapt to that, but it does get better, I promise. So what's really fun is that after sometimes the horrible experiences that you might experience, like the poopy hands, for instance, it does have a joyful feeling for you when you do release these guys, because like right here, you just open up the cages and it's fun to watch them, you know, like kind of check out their surroundings, you know, see like what's going on. Others just dart or bolt into the forest and you don't see them ever again, you know, so each one's different, but it's just really cool that you helped them and you kind of saved a life, and that they will be better off in the wild now than, you know, if they were trapped in a facility or someone kind of killed them because, you know, they captured them or something like that. So all this stuff, like I said, I learned from Animalia over the summer, and if you have any questions, please let me know.
Any questions for our speaker? Here we go.
Yeah.
For the ones, like, say you gathered a litter of infants and they didn't have moms, raised them in captivity, and you go to release them, do you tag them in any way, saying they did come from a rehab?
Not necessarily. Like, at least we didn't. All we did was give them, like I said, the rabies, the parvo, the distemper, things like that, just to vaccinate them, and that way we, you know, put them in a carrier and then we just released them. I don't know about other rehabbing facilities. They might do that to keep track of for like informational purposes and research studies, but like I said, the one that we did not. So,
I think Wildcat does.
Wildcat, and they probably do, because that one's, I mean, a lot of people we refer over there in case of something else, like where we reached max capacity this summer. Like we had, I think it was close to 22 to 28 raccoons, give or take, there, because some of them were leaving and some of them were coming in at the same time, so it was a lot.
Were they all found and then brought in?
Yes, so I meant to mention to you guys that most of the animals that we had brought into us were either trapped animals that, like I said, people found in their homes or around their property, and they obviously, like I said, you know, took the mothers somewhere else and then they found the babies. But other times it was a DNR confiscation. So, and that happens a lot because, like I said, people aren't adequately fit to take care of them, or they just don't know how to take care of them.